There's 300,000 people that are being trafficked here in the United States, in your neighborhoods, in your communities, in your churches, in your schools.
It's never going to be about one person, one organization to solve it. Who do we work with in order to see trafficking eradicated?
Everyone can do something. And in my space, I run a marketing agency. I would not give you guys the grant if I didn't see the tangible impact.
Every day we delay on putting the right solutions into the right people's hands, the problem will just continue to grow.
This work doesn't come without its tolls. Where's that toll hit on you?
How deep are we going on this?
As deep as you want to go.
As deep as you want to go.
Well, I've actually cried a lot. It's one of the deepest pains when I look into my kid's eyes. What would I hope someone else would do if my kid was being trafficked?
When you have millions of eyes on an issue, you can't hide.
We're going one person at a time, and that's how we're going to solve the 300,000 person problem.
For those that are listening, what would you tell them?
Welcome to the Team Protectors podcast. My name is Brittany Dunn. I am the COO and co-founder of the Safe House Project, and I'm joined today by my co-host.
I'm Kristi Wells, the CEO and other co-founder of Safe House Project. Safe House Project is a national anti-trafficking organization helping to eradicate human trafficking across America by helping identify victims of human trafficking, helping community members understand how to report suspicions of trafficking through our app called Simply Report. We help victims escape their human trafficking situation and get them placed into safe homes. And ultimately, we are helping equip communities to understand all of the different ways that they can engage in the fight against trafficking. So we are so excited to have our friend, Clay Vaughan, who is the CEO and founder of The Good Agency, but also a dear partner of Safe House Project. We'll talk about how we got there, but Clay, welcome. We're so glad to have you on here.
It's great to be here.
So to frame this a little bit, Clay actually had a grant process a couple years ago where he was looking to invest in anti-trafficking organizations. So talk to us about how you got there as even the starting point. Like, how did you even figure out about this issue, and what made you want to jump in?
Yeah, well, I mean, if I'm completely honest, it would be a 4-part series if we were to go through that. So I'm going to have to dumb it down a little bit. But in short, several people in my family had experienced being exploited. And so that had always been a very sensitive thing for us. And I also was a missionary overseas. I worked in community and youth development, specifically in Trenchtown, Jamaica. And that was just pervasive. It was very, very common for specifically familial trafficking. And so as my business was blessed, as my family was blessed, I just wanted to be able to give back and be a part of the solution because I wasn't a missionary overseas forever, and I still believe that I'm on that mission. And so that's one of the reasons why we decided to open up that grant program that we still run every single year, and y'all have somehow been the magical recipients of it every single year. How does that work?
And we are really, really grateful because the partnership has allowed us to understand ourselves and who we are as an organization better. Sometimes you just build something and it becomes organic to you, and it helps to have somebody else kind of look at it externally and dissect it and say, well, how do we make sure that other people understand this about the issue and about you all and how you're approaching this? And so the value is tenfold what we could have ever imagined, and have been so grateful. But talk to us about what it is about human trafficking for you specifically that made you want to really invest in using your talents, mobilizing your company behind it as a business leader.
Well, my mission is to impact the world for good, and I want to make sure that I'm a reflection of Christ to everyone that I encounter. And so when we opened up the grant program, we had a whole lot of applicants. I mean, it was honestly overwhelming. I had a list of 80 or 90 applicants, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting maybe 2 or 3. And so I stared at that list for a very long time, and I didn't know how to process through what we were looking for. I didn't know anything other than the fact that I just wanted to make sure that if we were going to be putting our time, our effort, our resources toward a specific cause, I needed to make sure there was an impact tied to it. And so there were great organizations that committed to saying, hey, we're going to use this grant and we're going to make that impact on the world for good. And we want to partner with you and so on and so forth. And it was a tough choice. But ultimately, the reason why we chose Safe House is because y'all are making a tangible impact. You have not just thought about, talked about, maybe made a small dent in a very small region. You're making a big impact on the global problem. And you're starting right here in the United States. And so that's the reason we chose it. The heart behind it, I think, is truly tied to what I think it was Bonhoeffer that said it, that evil is essentially allowed to prevail when good men do nothing. And I know I'm mixing up a couple different quotes there. I actually wrote it down because I knew I was going to do that. Here we go. Silence in the face of evil is evil itself. And so regardless of whether we did a grant program or if we did a volunteer program where we paid our team to go out and be a part of something, we had to do something. And I saw the human trafficking problem being one that wasn't being solved.
Right.
I personally, in high school even, was exposed to a documentary that was released about international trafficking that a lot of popular singers and musicians and what have you got involved in. And I actually became one of their ambassadors, where I was putting up posters and getting my high school rallied to go be a part of it. And that's where I was first exposed to the fact that trafficking even existed. So I think I was a little bit more on the unique side because most people don't even understand trafficking. But because of my experience, even in high school, helping spread the word in Houston, which is a major hub for trafficking, unfortunately, and not just for international trafficking, but for familial trafficking and exploitation locally, I paired that with my time overseas and said, hey, we have to do something. We can't sit around and be in our ivory castles. And God's been very good to my business and to my wife and I. And so this is a truly company-wide mission. We want to have everybody involved in this, and everybody has been involved in this. Y'all are speaking at our team retreat this fall. And it's one of those things that I knew, and my wife, Emily, and I, we both committed to saying, hey, if we do this, we're doing it all the way. We're not going to do it halfway. We're not going to pay our penance and drop some money in the coffers and move along. We're going to actually be a part of ending it and using the resources God has given us and stewarding those well. So
I love the fact that you have brought your entire company along and speak to us a little bit about that, because that can be a complex challenge or opportunity for a business leader. But what did it look like to really bring your team along for that journey and get their buy-in?
Yeah, great question. Well, I think the only way it was possible is because we are very intentional with the kind of people we hire. So I don't just hire a developer because the developer is brilliant and smart. I hire the developer because they have strong values, and that is their worldview that instructs how they would go about development or how they would go about learning something new. And that applies to every role in our organization. So it was actually pretty easy to get everybody rallied to it because, frankly, showing up to a 9-to-5 to make somebody else money, that's pretty discouraging, honestly. If you're just showing up and you're like, my job is to get a paycheck and help the owner make a lot of money, that can be pretty disheartening and discouraging over time. I know that because I was in that role at some point in time before I had my own company. And so there's always been a missional side of our business where we want to impact the world for good. We have things like volunteer time off that we encourage our team to go be involved in the community, and we'll pay them for that time in addition to their vacation. And so those were the people that were already on board when we rolled out this grant program. So the mutual benefits, I think, have been we've had a lot better retention on our team as soon as we rallied to a cause. And people can buy into that. People can say, hey, I'm not showing up 9 to 5 to make the owner wealthy. I'm showing up 9 to 5 to impact the world for good, and I'm doing that by fill in the blank.
Right.
And in the case of good agency, people are showing up and they're able to invest in a group like Safe House Project with their resources, their talent, whether it's a developer building the website or a cinematographer, filmmaker who's behind the cameras right now. They're all committed to this mission, and it's so much greater than themselves, so much greater than a paycheck, and it's authentic. So.
And the level of excellence that we've seen come out of that is when I think they're purpose driven in the work is really incredible. The agency was able to win 6 tellies.
Oh yeah, lots of awards.
Lots of awards. I mean, 6. I was actually having a conversation with I won't name them, but I'll call it probably a Fortune 100 company. And she was so excited. And she was telling me about the one telly that they just got for a video. She was like, do you know what the tellies are? I was like, we have 6. But it's really incredible. And it was just so much power and passion that came behind it. But to get to that point of even having an award-winning kind of storytelling moment, you guys really had to step into this issue at a deep level to understand not just us as an organization, but to understand the issue. What has been one of the hardest truths that for somebody who's stepping into this to try to wrap their head around?
Well, I've actually cried a lot. I've cried a lot since
sorry.
we partnered together. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
She makes me cry too. It's fine. We'll start a support group.
You know, it's one of the deepest pains when I look into my kids' eyes and I think about the hundreds of thousands of kids who don't have a dad or a mom who is there for them to protect them, to just say, hey, look, we're going to even be aware of this issue. And I think the hardest truth was accepting the magnitude of the problem.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it a lot. There's compassion fatigue. There's the psychology. I mean, our brain will literally shut down with that magnitude of information because it will, straight up kill us if we feel the pain and empathy and empathize with the pain that everyone is experiencing. And there's 300,000 plus people, U.S., caught up in trafficking right now. And the hardest truth to accept is that it can't be solved by one person. Like it's a drop in the bucket. For us to partner together, we're making a significant impact. Our team gets so excited when we hear the stories of, oh, this person engaged through Simply Report and was able to escape. And oh, there's these 25 people over here that were able to escape that are on their path to healing. Those numbers are easier to digest than the 300,000. And I think it's really easy for anyone, just the general public, to hear the number, hey, there's 300,000 people that are currently stuck. They're being trafficked here in the United States today, in your neighborhoods, in your communities, in your churches, in your schools. It's hard for people to wrestle with that.
Right.
And I think that was the hardest thing for me to overcome and know what to do with. And I think it's interesting, but one of the most terrible human beings on the planet, Stalin, he said that 1 million deaths is a statistic, 11 people dying is a tragedy. And it's because when we hear 300,000, that's a statistic. Statistics don't engage the emotions because it will literally kill you.
Right.
What matters most is when you can pinpoint and say, hey, my dollar went to being a part of solving that one person's problem.
Right.
And that's what I love about what we've done here at Safe House together is we've helped people identify, hey, if you donate $40, that will help someone get from their current trafficking situation out of it.
Right.
It won't get them all the way to healing, but it will at least help them escape. It'll be the ride.
Right.
And if you have $1,015, you can say, hey, I'm going to donate $1,015, and that will cover the cost of one human being, a child that has been stuck. I mean, I've read stories, and I'm gonna get teary-eyed here. I've read stories y'all have shared where there was a 15-year-old that had been stuck for 3 years. 3 years. So that means 12. From 12 to 15, they were stuck. And, there's this emotional thing that just triggers in me that says, okay, it's just $1,000. Okay, how many $1,000 do we need?
Right.
And I was challenged by this, maybe 2017. I remember sitting down with a business coach of mine, and we were talking about this problem specifically. And I remember him saying, hey, Clay, what would it cost? Like, what would you be willing to pay if you knew that whatever dollar you paid would help rescue your neighbor's kid? I mean, what would you pay? $5? No.
Right.
Only heartless people would pay $5. $50? $1,000? $1 million?
Right.
$7 million?
$7.7 million to serve.
The reality is you can't put a price tag on a human being.
No.
They're not for sale. And the reality is we should not ask, all right, how much money do I need to give? It's how much can you give? And that's where it should stop. I mean, we have donors that'll come in and they'll pledge half their salaries. It's so encouraging.
Yeah.
Incredible people. We just need more of them.
Right.
Because there's 300,000 people and growing. That number is only growing.
Right. Right.
And when we partnered together, you guys said, I think we can eradicate trafficking. I laughed out loud.
I remember.
I literally laughed.
A lot
I
of
thought
people
you were
laugh
joking.
You thought we were joking.
I thought you were joking. And
You said, what's the goal?
yeah, what's the outcome here that we're going for? And I actually believe it's possible now. And no, there's no Kool-Aid. I didn't drink any Kool-Aid. Maybe there's been some bourbon. But that's I think the beauty of being able to partner with you guys is I get to see a little bit behind the curtain of what's going on. I get to experience the wins with you. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come on this show is say, hey, business leaders, whether you own a small business that has 5 employees or you own a giant business that has 5,000 employees, I want you involved. You should be involved. I'm talking to you right now. You should be involved in this because if we can all collaborate and get together and unify under the one single mission, which is we want to help the victims of trafficking with the most critical needs possible, and we want to get them out. We want to create a path for them out. If you want to be a part of that, sorry, this was not in the script.
We appreciate
but
you.
There you go.
Keep going.
You got to do it.
What he's saying.
Just do it.
Yes.
Then they're not paying me to do this, just so you know.
He's paying us. That's great.
But yeah, I think it's just a very long-winded answer to that question. But I think it's so important for us to remember that we're going one person at a time.
Right.
And that's how we're going to solve the 300,000 person problem.
Yeah. And it's a complex issue, and it takes all of these different facets and all of these different approaches in order to see trafficking eradicated. As we always say, it's never going to be about one person, one organization that solve it. But where we sit is constantly saying, hey, how do we find the gaps and how do we fill the gaps? And how do we make sure that when we see that there are barriers in identification, who do we work with in order to rally people to increase identification rates? So talking about business leaders that step in and step up when they don't have to. There's a great partner of ours that brought us alongside the pest management industry, and another one that brought us along all in-home service providers that said, hey, part of the issue is that we need to train more people to identify trafficking. Well, what about the people that are working inside homes? Could they have the ability to identify trafficking? And we have airline partners that say, you guys need flights to be able to get people out of trafficking. We have flights we can give you. And we see that Uber came to us and said, can we give you vouchers in order for you to be able to get victims out of their trafficking situation? And so we've seen corporate partners come alongside us, recognizing that they've been finding the gaps and filling the gaps, recognizing that there's work across a variety of different parts of this issue that they can do. Yeah. Or they can just give money. We have a great company that just came to us and said, we want to give you 10% of our sales. And they did. And the next year they said, we're going to give you guys 12% of our sales.
Wow.
Or all of our revenue for the year. And it's unbelievable to see people who just say, instead of saying, I can't, it's how can I?
Yeah. I got to be on a fly on the wall for y'all's leadership team meeting where you were planning out the next year, and frankly, the next 10 years of how you're going to be able to grow and accomplish the goal of eradicating trafficking. And the thing that stood out to me was that you were sticking to your guns, that 88% of... Is it 88%?
88%.
88%. Yeah, 88%.
I keep saying 85% because that's our minimum threshold. Yeah. And she's always like, but we never go below 88% is where we actually hold to.
Of every dollar goes to survivor care.
Yeah.
That goes to helping those
victims.
Doing
the work. Right. Yeah.
That's unheard of. I mean, I know that if there's a massive organization, and I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of them out there. And I know if I sponsor a kid or something along those lines for $30 a month, well, guess what?
Pennies on the dollar.
Pennies on the dollar. Right. I've lived in the places where those care programs exist, and frankly, those kids don't get much.
Right.
And so it's because there's just this massive overhead that you're having to pay for, buildings and all this kind of stuff. And y'all are so dispersed. You don't have buildings.
We are very agile.
You have a living room of Brittany's house, but you're a very widespread organization making a massive impact, helping thousands of people, thousands of human beings, thousands of children exit, get out of this environment where they're being exploited in terrible ways.
Well, and those numbers are only increasing. So we've had recently the award for the National Human Trafficking Hotline was pulled from one organization and distributed to another. That has resulted in an extreme lack of confidence. It's a disputed organization that's under investigation, and so there's an extreme lack of confidence in the current systems. And so what's happening is we have, because of a system that we've launched that basically is allowing people to report suspicions of trafficking, allowing victims to access, we normally were serving, last year we served 1,529 survivors. Well, we're already well over 1,800, and now our cases have ramped up to 14 a day at least. So on that trajectory, we're not going to serve 3,000 survivors in a year. We'll serve 5,400, 5,500 survivors in a year, helping them exit and find healing. Like, these numbers are multiplying
and that's not
4
a statistic.
times over. That's not a statistic.
5,500 human beings. People.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about making a dent, if we know that there are an estimated 300,000 American kids that are being trafficked, and then we go, okay, we have the ability to serve 5,500 survivors in a year and help them escape, like, you start to see it chip away. And that doesn't mean that even when we hit 300,000 that there's not more to be done, but we start to see it being impacted. Yeah. And I think that's where the hope is in all of this, is that it is a huge issue.
Well, and I think the other piece of that is that success breeds success. And so as a survivor exits and they go back and they say, this system actually worked and didn't fail me, then it gives somebody else hope. And that hope is contagious.
Oh, it's infectious.
And I think just watching how that has become the kind of the voice of the field is that these survivors are now have a new system that they can trust. I mean, it goes a long way to see trust and hope and courage being the thing that leads the way. And that has no reflection on us. It's these individuals who have 10 seconds of insane courage to ask for help and to believe that we'll be there on the other side.
Well, and then they take it one step further, where our team always says their favorite referral is when somebody says, you helped my friend get out, and or you helped a girl that I was watching get out. And when I asked her how she did it, she said to call you. And that, our team's like, we will do this all day long. All day long, because if those, are the referrals that are coming in, is we're helping somebody and it's making an impact, and they care enough to go back and tell their friend and say, I got out and you can too.
Well, and the really part that I love is that our survivor support team is so motivated because they're seeing the hope and they're seeing the courage.
They're amazing.
They are truly incredible. But we were on the other day on a team call and we're talking to them about what they would do if they got to be CEO or COO for a day. And they all said that they would fire themselves and they would go back to their respective role because they love it that much. They're like, even if you were to take us on a team retreat, you'd probably find us all in our respective bathrooms, hiding in the showers, trying to serve survivors because that's what we're called to do. And it's just like that heartbeat just exudes out of them. So when somebody calls, they know they're getting somebody who has just a deep desire and tenacity to go after the problem with them and to walk that journey in crisis with them and to be there and fight for solutions. To Kristi's point earlier, there's so many times people will call someplace and they'll be like, I can't do that. I don't know this. There's a barrier. And our team doesn't let anything stand in its way. Like somebody
really
else's
don't.
like ceiling is not going to be their limitation. It's going to be their starting point, and it's just amazing.
They've
work
come
with
up with
giants.
some crazy creative solutions. We had somebody who called in that was a survivor, a male survivor in need of help. He was in a wheelchair. He was deaf, and he had a service chicken or an emotional support chicken. Not joking. And it was but that was the thing that brought him comfort, and he wasn't willing to leave it behind. And we actually see this all the time with survivors, where it's actually that it's a lot of support animals, because that is the only thing that has loved them unconditionally. I love dogs. She doesn't. But we all know that a dog loves you no matter what. You'll experience that love one day. My dog loves her. He is.
It's not mutual.
But it's not.
We'll pray for you, Brittany. We'll pray for
Be
you.
all you want. It's fine.
But then
All
her way
dogs
to
go to heaven. I'm good.
Then her way to sell her cat and how great her cat is to tell me that it's like a dog. I'm like, then just get a dog.
But even the cat, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't need it. I've told you all this. I'm not buying any more animals.
She named her goldfish Sushi.
No,
sashimi. Beta fish.
That's interesting. I
It was
don't even know what to say with that.
Sashimi and nigiri were the name of the things.
Okay. Moving on.
I do have empathy for the children.
She does have empathy. I've seen it.
But
all right, we're going to do this.
So-
I'm going to take. Do you need some help?
No,
Or are you
I
good?
got
You
it.
got this? Okay.
But
She can do it.
But the animals that the survivors have with them mean so much. And so this gentleman had an emotional support chicken, and he was not leaving it. And so they came up with a very creative solution to transport this man, because they did end up finding a safe home for him. And the only barrier was that they don't allow emotional support chickens on the plane.
Wow.
And so the team found a solution to get the man where he needed to go. But it's those kind of things that most people would go, I'm sorry, I can't help
deal
you.
with that. Yeah.
And our team, I think, thinks it's a
challenge.
game's the wrong word, but a challenge where they're like,
They want to solve
bring us-
complex problems.
They do.
Yeah.
They're true problem solvers that just say, how do we do it? And I think that's the cool part of even the hope is just, it doesn't matter how audacious the situation is. They just go, you know what? You still deserve every bit of a chance at freedom and healing. And if the only thing is that these are the logistics I have to figure out, game on. We can do this all day long. And so I think it's that they see the value of the person bigger than the challenges in front of them to get that person into care. And I think that's the heart that we see come out of them.
Well, I think it goes back to what you were saying about how you built your team. It's that how do you build your team in a way that creates just that incredible desire to serve. And I think that that's where I feel so blessed that we get to walk with giants who are transforming people's lives every single day. So it's just been fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of hope that comes in this work, and there's a lot of good that we get to do together. But we know well that this work doesn't come without its tolls. Where's that toll hit on you in times that, because you fully stepped into the work, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly in a lot of ways.
How deep are we going on this?
As deep as you want to go.
As you want to go.
All right.
Let's do this.
Well, I don't want to scare anyone away, but I do think that just to be completely authentic, this is not just a physical fight. I mean, granted, we are taking on one of the largest criminal enterprises in the world. And we're doing it with us. Right. And the teams that are backing us up.
Don't know who put us in charge.
God?
Yes.
You gotta be crazy enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're taking on some of the nastiest human beings on the planet who have just sold their soul to the devil. And so there are naturally risks tied to that. And Emily and I, we've prayed a lot about just, hey, what is kind of the line in the sand for us? Obviously, I mean, I care immensely about my wife and about my kids. We take precautions from a just security perspective and try to wipe the internet wherever we can of our location. But I know that there are people who don't like what we're doing. And there have been attacks against my company. There have been hacking attempts by evil people. There have been, just from a tangible perspective, there have been people who probably weren't the right clients for us to be working with who didn't like that we were doing this. And so they, I mean, there's just been some tangible struggles. And I think anybody that gets involved, you've got to put on the whole armor of God before you come in, because you're not just walking into a physical battle, but you're walking into a spiritual one too. And we're not going to church today, but what I will say is that when it comes to just the work that y'all are doing, the work that all of the partners have been involved in, I mean, there has been a spiritual toll as well, where the enemy seeks to instill fear and seeks to discourage and attack health. I mean, all of those are side effects. Within, maybe a month of us doing the first grant with you guys, my mom and my brother-in-law both were diagnosed with cancer, and several other of our team members, their family members were diagnosed with cancer. It was beyond coincidence. And unfortunately, we lost my brother-in-law. It was a tough battle. Right. The reality is I don't know how much of it is tied to this, but I do know that it's a spiritual battle, and coming into it thinking I'm just going to do something good is probably the wrong perspective. If you don't know who you can place your faith and trust and hope in, then this is some heavy stuff, and it'll tear you down. It will. And I mean, even just with the stories of the tragedies that have occurred of not just kids, but adults as well, from evil people, like they are so discouraging. And if you don't have your hope rooted in Christ, then there's no way you can do it. I mean, you will turn into a very sad, depressed person. Right. There's no question about that.
And you have to come in. I appreciate the statement about the armor of God, because you have to come in knowing you're coming in for a fight. Yeah. You know, it's not just I'm here to do good.
You can't do it in the shadows.
No. You can't do it in the shadows. And it is, I mean, you're taking evil head on. Yeah. Whether it is, when people say, I want to put 10% of my business behind you, those dollars are going to go to work to set people free. Yeah. And that is not the place that Satan wants to see people find freedom. And so he will attack. He will try to discourage people from stepping into the fight. So we want donors. We want people with money who can come alongside us. Yeah. But buckle up. Yeah. But I think
it's so rewarding.
But it's so
worth it.
There's nothing better.
There's nothing.
We're 3 years into this, and we're still in the fight.
Right. And
God sustained us.
Yeah. So. And it's the thing that shows, I think, as much as we see the hard, you don't know how good the good news is until you know how bad the bad news is. And we see the bad news every day. Yeah. But boy, do we see the hope.
And the miracles.
And the miracles. I mean, truly crazy
All right,
miracles.
I'm just going to ask for you. I mean, I've heard a lot of them, but the audience hasn't. Can you double click on any of those and share any of those stories that come to mind?
So one of them was a couple years ago. A young woman who had originally been kidnapped, and actually, it's one of the very few kidnapping, trafficking stories I know of. But she had actually been kidnapped years ago, and her family thought that she was gone. She reached out to us for help, and originally we sent law enforcement to where we knew she was, and they knocked on the door. The trafficker answered, and they said, "Excuse me, isn't there anybody here that is being trafficked?" He said no, and they closed the door. And the law enforcement officer called me and said, well, the nice gentleman who's lived in that apartment for 3 years, he said nobody there was being trafficked. Wow. I couldn't wrap my head around it, but we had actually been to that city and recognized that it was kind of a rural area and it was really difficult to get an Uber. And so had actually waited one night for 45 minutes, couldn't get an Uber. And so I knew that that's where she was. So I tested it a few times and it was impossible. It would just spinning wheel of death. Nobody would pick up a ride. And so one night she calls and she says, he's gone. He's gone to go pick up another girl. I'm here by myself. Can you get me out? And I thought, the only way I can do this. I had somebody who one of our trained operators that I could have sent in, but he was an hour and a half away and we couldn't get her there. Couldn't get him there in time. We had maybe 30 minutes and the time just kept shrinking more and more, trying to figure out who we could get to her. And finally just said, this isn't going to work, but I'm going to try an Uber right away.
Whoa.
Right away, something picked up and that I'd never seen pick up before. No Uber had ever responded in that city. And we got her out there with minutes to spare. And I think that's one of the small ones where we've run into, actually, we've seen a lot of transportation miracles, things that shouldn't work. We had one survivor that we were transporting and a snowstorm was getting ready to hit in the place where her safe home was. She was coming. She had 2 layover connections, landed, and the other flight was supposed to have taken off, but somehow they had an issue. And anyways, long story short, she was the last person on the plane to close the doors and got her out there and got her because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to get her to the safe home because they were buried under snow. And so we've seen a lot of those.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely been the transportation miracles, but I think that where I've seen it the most is in the resilience of the survivors and watching them step out of exploitation is one thing. And that's obviously that's the life-changing moment. But where the miracles are is in their stories afterwards. Like watching them, I remember one of the most convicting moments for me was sitting with one of the very first survivors we had the chance to serve. And she said that she had gone to church and seen a buyer in the pews next to her. And she was trafficked from the age of 6 years old. And so this was one of those very early years. This is very much a situation of familial trafficking at these really young ages. And she goes, what I realized in that moment is that he needed Jesus too. And she's like, and my faith and my life could not be dictated by him. And she's like, in that moment, I decided I have to forgive him. And I'm like, when you see them being able to forgive their traffickers, forgive the people who have purchased them, and it just compels you to have to go further in your own faith walk. It compels you to have to understand the depths of forgiveness that this requires to do this work, because you can't reconcile all of the evil in this world, but you can bring hope and love and compassion. And it's just beautiful. Like, that to me is a miracle, is to have that level of faith to do that.
I did have one more with the survivor that she had, that truly was a healing miracle, that she had gone in and it was told that she had a tumor. And it was a quite large tumor. And the doctor said, okay, we have to go in to operate. And she called me before and she said, Kristi, will you pray? And I said, yes, I will. And I said, but I'm going to pray for healing. And I'm going to pray that they get in there and they find nothing and it's gone. And she laughed and she said, well, that'll only happen if God's real. She was supposed to call me about 3 hours later. And about 45 minutes later, she called me. And I said, you're supposed to be under in surgery. She said, the doctor did a scan beforehand because he wanted to just get one more look at it before he went in to make sure he knew how he wanted to go in. And it was gone. And I mean, it was
wow.
such a cool moment. And like got to see her come to faith as a result of just those ways that God showed up in a very real and a very tangible way in her life and meeting her where she was at. And as much as she had faced something so awful, this one really scared her because she couldn't control her way through it. And so it's just been, we've seen so many of those things.
So yeah, in the midst of all of the struggle, in the midst of all of the heartache and the pain and the sadness and the terrifying stories, there is that hope. And that's what, to your point earlier, it's what allows you to keep on getting up every morning, keep on in the fight. Because each one of those wins is far more, I think, impactful than each of those negative stories.
Right.
So
it's a life. Yeah. I mean, it's somebody when we get the calls from somebody who says, I've graduated college, or I'm getting married, or I got to pick out my nail color for the first time in my life today. Like, because the trafficker always would decide I got to do what I wanted to with my hair, whatever it is that those
the one that went to the beach for the very first time, and we got seeing the ocean, and it was like, and then she's like, and then I got to go to Target, and I got to the shop Target, and it's like, it was just
riding the carts down
riding
the
aisle
aisle
like
a little kid.
Like, yes, and it's bringing joy. I mean, it's just bringing joy back into people's lives.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So for those that are listening that are business leaders, what would you tell them?
Same thing I said at the very beginning, that evil triumphs when good people do nothing. And I think everyone can do something. Everyone can do something. And in my space, I run a marketing agency. And so that's what God has entrusted to me to steward. And so that's what I'm going to do. There, to your point, you've got Barrett over at Cetane helping connect into the pest control and the propane space. But whether you are a pool maintenance company and you're going into people's backyards, I mean, there's ways for you to be involved. Download Simply Report, help identify. Really easy. Download it, and it's an app that will allow you to chat with an AI bot that has been trained by professionals, so that you can know if what you're seeing is actually trafficking or if it's just maybe a parent having a bad day.
We never have bad days as parents.
We don't. Of course not. Yeah, never have had bad days as a parent.
Practically perfect in every way.
So yeah, whether you run a small pool maintenance company solo, I mean, there's a way you can be involved. Or if you're in an organization that's involved in transportation or in I mean, honestly, you just name it and you can help. There is a way, and all you have to do is reach out and ask. And the reason why we knew that we had to do a grant program is because I'm kind of a sucker. And so if someone comes to me, for the longest time, people would say, hey, can you help us and can you do it for free? So we did a lot of free work for a lot of different groups, but the impact was not measurable because it was typically for an organization that was just getting started, didn't have their act together, and oftentimes it just didn't work out.
Right.
And so so we wanted to be intentional, which is why we did the grant program. But I mean, literally email one of these ladies, email me, DM me on LinkedIn, and we can chat about ways that you can get involved. And I mean, simply awareness is the first thing. Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing you can do.
Right.
You got to know what the problem is. So listen to these podcasts. Awesome. Watch videos, go to the website. There's so much information there. And then start sharing that.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why this has been allowed to just expand and this problem has grown so big is because it's been in the shadows and no one's known it existed.
Bring it to the light.
Let's bring it into the light. Absolutely. And I would just say this, that there are obviously so many good causes to give to. I mean, we were talking about this yesterday, breast cancer awareness. You've got, I mean, kids who are starving in Africa. You've got water crisis issues. You've got educational issues. You've got poverty. The reason why I chose this specific cause to get behind is, just like I said earlier, when I look into my kids' eyes and when I think, what would I hope someone else would do if my kid was being trafficked? I mean, it was a no-brainer for me. Yeah. And I think all those other causes are amazing, but I think this cause is the most urgent one of all because it's one of those philosophical problems. This should not be happening. These people do not deserve to be trafficked. They didn't ask for this. Right. There's so much I've learned about this industry, if you can call it that. I mean, there was so much junk out on the news and people saying it's all about the border crisis or it's all about, this trafficked, taken, that's the one. Yeah. That it's all about kidnapping. No, it's not. It happens literally in your neighborhood.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how nice your neighborhood is either. In fact, it's often in the nicer neighborhoods where it's happening. Right. Where buyers are. I mean, that's where people with the money are. So I think the biggest thing is it's everywhere and no one knows it, no one sees it. And so to our point earlier, let's bring it to the light.
Absolutely. And we're going to keep doing just that. And we do it with partners like you. We do it with other partners who are so gracious to come alongside us because, as we keep saying, this is not going to be solved by one person, one organization. But when we talk about eradication, that's never a statement of what we believe we can do as our own organization. Yeah. That is a rally cry for everybody to jump in, everybody to do something. Yeah. Whether it's give, whether it's get trained, whether it's download the app. Actually, everybody should download the app.
Everybody.
If you don't have
Pause right now, go to the App Store, simply report, download.
On Google Play Store or on Apple.
Yep.
But we want everybody to be part of this because when you have millions of eyes on an issue, it can't hide. Yeah. It can't go into the darkness.
Yeah. One thing I do want to just kind of help the audience visualize for a second is when we think about those who are stuck, who are being trafficked right now, I think one of the common misconceptions I had before working with you guys was, oh, that's a future problem. It's not an immediate problem. It's not an urgent problem. It's something that, I can't make that much of a difference. But when you think about it, it's like time is of the essence. There is so much need for urgency because the problem has been snowballing. It's been getting bigger. I mean, the number of 300,000, I think that's very low.
Right. And that's a 2018 statistic that is just continuing to
unpack. Didn't Florida come out and say that there was even like
700,000 estimated in Florida alone last year?
Yeah. Right. That is a snowballing problem, if you ask me.
Right.
And yeah, so pre-COVID, COVID was such a terrible thing for this problem because
Right. It just poured gasoline on the fire.
It poured gasoline and no one could see. I mean, it got into the darkness, into the shadows a lot easier.
Right.
Well, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at some level as these things and these narratives continue and we don't stop it in our tracks, then we are creating more issues where we have to solve a problem. We have to be reactive to the fact that somebody's experienced exploitation, opposed to doing something now where we can garner the information, get the data, get the survivors to share that lived experience of how the crime was perpetrated against them. And when we start to see that, then we can truly build prevention models that allow for early intervention and early interdiction. And so every day we delay on putting the right solutions into the right people's hands and getting as many survivors out as possible. To your point, the problem will just continue to grow. Yeah. And we're further and further from that common goal of preventing every child in the world from experiencing exploitation.
Yeah. And I think another misconception I had along those lines was that the government was solving the problem. And I'm not going to be political because it is across party lines. It has nothing to do with this administration or the last. It's a true problem of bureaucracy here where, I mean, the hotline failed.
Right.
The hotline utterly failed.
Yeah.
And
the grant programs haven't been successful.
Yeah.
They've gone to the same organizations time and time again that don't show the outcomes and the impact. They're putting maybe $120 million towards a $5.9 billion criminal enterprise. You have to put your money where your mouth is, and we can't wait on the government to be the solution. We have to activate the private sector. We have to activate community members, parents, and just our nation to say, we're not going to tolerate this, because what we tolerate, we give permission to exist.
Well, and that's why I love Simply Report, because it is the tool that is being adopted across the country right now by state governments. And I love seeing the results as they come in. It's incredible. And the only thing preventing it is not having enough donors involved.
Right.
That's the only thing stopping it from happening.
Because the number continues to grow, and the number is growing faster on how many people we are identifying, and the donor base is slow to catch up. And we can't have exponential impact without having the funding to support it.
Yeah. And just as a testimony here, I would not continue to give you guys the grant if I didn't see the tangible impact. So, y'all can look for it in the impact reports. It's a no-brainer. If you're serious about making an impact and doing something greater than yourself, then I need you donating to Safe House Project today. So there you go.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
More than anything, we appreciate your friendship. We appreciate your staff. We appreciate Emily and just the way that your family has chosen something as a calling and not a career to help come alongside us, and just the extreme ownership that you all operate with every day to help us be part of the solution. So to everyone out there, we say thank you for joining us for Team Protectors podcast. Your charge today per Clay is to become a donor. $40 a month is 40 for freedom. You can be part of changing somebody's life. If you're a bigger donor, $1,015 is going to help provide that pathway to freedom for someone into a Safe House program. So as we close out, please like, subscribe, and drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. And then go download Simply Report, because you are part of the solution to prevent every child from experiencing exploitation. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Team Protectors.